In this project, we were working with the Ministry of Sports. We were hired by a company that it's working inside of the ministry, taking care of all the marketing stuff. And we were mainly hired to migrate a previous site that they have in Drupal and make this into Plone, because they had, I don't know why they choose Plone on the first place, but I think it was about security, and also because it was being used we were being using it in other government sites as part of a bigger project. And then, so this was the team. The challenge was this: we had to construct or to migrate 3 sites, and mainly it was multilingual, in 3 months with only 3 developers. We are the guys that are currently working in Simple's Consultoria. We choose to go Plone 4 just because that was the technology we knew at the moment, mainly because our add-ons were not ready to work with Plone 5, and also because in so short time spent for the project, we didn't want any surprises. And I remember a friend of mine, Leonardo Rochael, who also worked at Simple's Consultoria for some time, he shared with me a nice article about boring technologies, about using boring technologies, and the whole thing about this is that in any project that you have, you only have like you can have 3 new things in the project, no more than that, because you can run into problems, and probably you are not going to develop on time. So we decided to go Plone 4 for this one. As I said, we had to create 3 different sites. We were we were thinking about if going with Plone APP multilingual, or if we just create 3 sites. We decided to create 3 different sites just because we had no previous experience with Plone APP multilingual, and the most important reason is was the content was completely different, so it made no sense to go with APP multilingual. We developed some code for this project, and all the code was inside one repository. On the past, we used to work, for instance, with 3 different repositories: one for the buildout, one for the policy, and one for the team. But that was really a nightmare to maintain, because we had to move things around in 3 different different repositories. And so this was one of the first projects that we decided to go in one unified repository only. For creating the project, we try, in all of our projects, in fact, we try to reuse most of the add-ons we have developed over the time, but because that allows us to work, to be very productive and to work very fast. So we use, in this project, we use collective cover for the front pages. I don't know if I'm going to show the site after this. We use another add-on that we have been using for years also, that is called Collective NTF, that I'm going to rename because that's one of the worst names ever. It's basically a news article. It's a replacement for the news item in the standard Plone content type, and it has it's dexterity based, and it has some other features, like you can create it's a container, you can put many images inside, you can have automatically different templates, one with a gallery, things like that, no? And it has also some metadata specific for news, like for instance, which section is about this, who is the author of the article, and how important is this news item. We also work with a new, I don't remember if we created this project. I think we didn't create this for this project, but we use this extensively here. It's a photo gallery. It's just a container, has images inside, also the steady basic, and it shows you a gallery. I want to work on this later because probably want to have different types of galleries, but this project allows us to work on this, fix some issues, and make things better. Other things that we use, something called embedder, that it's also the steady basic content type, just to embed external content for instance, videos or audios from SoundCloud, things like that. But the main reason to have this as a content type is because we index also the metadata, like title, description. You can have also like a transcription of the content, whatever. There's another interesting content type that is called live blog. That is quite cool. We created that for the Brazilian elections in 2014. And everybody knows here what is a live blog. It's just like a blog. You have microposts that are sorted with the most recent on front, and it updates automatically. So if somebody is editing in another, an editor is adding more micropost, and you have this open, it automatically updates. It's quite cool. And another of our favorite add-ons that we use to work is social like, that it adds the share buttons for content, and also adds some metadata that it's not viewable. We also use, as this is Plone 4, we have developed over the years another add-on that it's collective upload, that allows us to upload many images in a batch, and also give them a name, add some things like author information. It resizes the images. Client side, it doesn't allow you to upload images that are bigger than you decide, or files that are bigger than you decide. In this case, we didn't set that features because the main purposes was uploading the bigger images they can, because they want to show the world what they were doing. We also develop and test collective lazy sizes. This is a very interesting package. It's a lazy loader that works really nice with Plone sites, and with this site we had great achievements in terms of reduction of load time and page size and requests. And it's quite easy to install. Just install, and it replaces the images you have on the content area. And when you are watching or you're about to see an image, it downloads the image automatically in the background, and it's very, very fast. It's very nice. And also another product that we use is finger pointing, that it's only like an audit log, just to see what's going on. It's very, very basic, but it's quite useful. We made some custom development for the project. For instance, some custom tiles, like the one that is on the cover for the gallery. And we also start adding custom tiles inside our packages. So if collective cover is installed and one of these packages is installed, also we will have some different tiles, for instance, for news articles, for galleries, for embedding content. All of this is going to be available by default if collective cover is installed. We had to develop a small widget just to share content that is in the site in other governmental sites. So whoever wants to wanted to add some content from the Olympics in their site, just add some iframe, and they have automatically update the content. This is only a browser view, a form with a browser view. We developed some special template for news articles because they wanted to provide bigger images, just like things like they have in the New York Times. I don't know if you follow these kind of things with huge images that spans wider than the text, and they want to present some of these articles to probably some contest. I don't know. The result, the final result, is very, very interesting. And we developed also some custom content types, like for instance for the medalists, for the I think also for the previous location of the Olympics. I don't remember very well about this. We made also automatic import of YouTube videos. They wanted to upload the videos on YouTube, and the portal was running, I think, every half an hour a script, and then it imported all the videos that were new, and that was working fine. And we have also some countdown bullets when, for instance, we are 5 days away from the beginning of the Olympics and things like that. No? I'm going to show you. Two interesting add-ons that we also developed for this site specifically, and we develop as open source also. It's one that is used to translate the content of the news articles, for instance, into a sign language used in Brazil. We are not doing this. It was a partnership with a university in northeast of Brazil, in Paraíba, and we are only using their API, and they were creating the videos with a. I will show you one of the videos, and then those videos were uploaded into YouTube. That was tricky, but it was quite important because as we were running the Olympics and the Paralympics, we want to have all this accessibility into the site also. We took care of that. There is another that is text-to-speech that it's quite interesting because it will read the text for you. We also work in some enhancement on many add-ons. For instance, we add zip download for photo galleries. So you can have like 20 images in a photo gallery and you can download it in a zip file. We added, for instance, lazy loading for tweets, because tweets on live blogs, the guys, when they saw the live blog, they started loving it, and they, for instance, wanted to run a live blog for like weeks when the torch was passing around all Brazil, and suddenly a live blog that was not supposed to work like that was like 500 micro posts long, and it was taking forever, and it was not working fine in Firefox, so we decided to lazy load the tweets, and it started to work again. And we made some fixes on many of the other add-ons that we were using, especially on accessibility and validation, because they needed that also for, that was a requirement. The team, we worked with the DIASO since many years ago, and all our teams are responsive. I will show you that. And now I'm going to show you the site. This is the site. As you can see, here were the bullets that were countdown bullets. It's plenty of icons for social networks, and this is the widget that I was talking about. Here, when you click that, you will see something like this, and then you have to you can select which sports you wanted, and which team are you wanting to see, and then the final result was something like this, that you can embed that in your site. No? Whereas we have a huge carousel over here that it's really nice. The content was so amazing, and the design, I think, was so good that the site is really, I like it a lot. I don't have any words to express how much I like it. And this is it's a bunch of styles over here. Probably this is important. This is the photo gallery that I was telling you. These are huge images. When the guys saw this, up and running, and they start putting more and more content, and suddenly we have a huge front page that was loading like forever, because these images are huge, are high resolution. This is, for instance, one of the articles I was mentioning. This is a different template, something very nice. Okay, and here we have some of the features we added. For instance, the text-to-speech. It's reading the text in Brazilian Portuguese. This special, this add-on supports, like, I don't remember, like 50 languages or something like that. It works very, very well. And this is an example of the video that I was telling you. It was created with the software. So it was very, very nice to see all of these things together. It takes like half an hour to read one of these news, but I don't know if they have. And it's quite interesting, because I had no idea. I said, why somebody wants to see that that video if they can read now? But there are people that they don't know how to read, but they don't understand the sign language. I didn't knew that before. So this is another example of an article. These are photo galleries, for instance. I will open one of them. We have a huge problem with the photo galleries, because one of the standard view of Plone that display the photo galleries, it runs inside a folder, and it starts looking around all the images, and you can really easily run out of memory with this. So we have to make some magic. I don't remember what we did. So this is, for instance, a photo gallery over here with amazing content also, and you can download the image or download the whole thing as a zip file. Here you have, for instance, the live blog I was talking about. As you can see, tweets, and this is the, let me see. Here you see, it's lazy loading the tweets. Okay, and this is the same site in responsive, like like you will see it in a cell phone. Okay, let's go back. As I said, the migration the previous site was a Drupal based. Erico helped us doing the migration. We used Transmogrifier, and some content had to be migrated manually, because it made no sense to write something to make just an importation for it. The final architecture was not what we were expecting. How much time I have left? Because I have. Huh?
I'm not sure you had half of this. I think you have about 10 minutes.
Okay. We were not supposed to use this architecture at the end. This was supposed to be the staging servers, but they just we had to run the production side with this, and it was 4 virtual machines running Ubuntu. One only with nginx, 2 of them running CO clients and Varnish, and one machine using the CO server. We didn't have time to install replication on this because because some things that happen that I cannot talk about, because I'm being recorded and everything I say will be used against me. The deployment was nothing fancy. We was just doing git pull, being build out, and restarting the instances. That was working. We create a small script just to warm up the instances, as Steve saw just one time, and it was working fine for me. We use, as I say, nginx on the front end. Nginx was doing load balancing of application servers, both machines. It was load balancing the Varnish stuff. It was doing also the URL rewrite. It was catching static content, and it was making some basic protection against denial of service attack that proved to somehow work, but after that I had to do some changes on this. Varnish, I was trying something interesting is that I was using the hash load balancing mechanism, because that way I'm using very well the CODB cache, and I'm not using I don't have redundancy there, and it was working fine. We had health checks. We clean up cookies, and we were having 2 different variants of the content on caching. We were using for monitoring, we use things like the status cake that was telling us if the site was up. Also New Relic stuff to look around the status of the servers, and something called GTmetrix that it's run to see how page speed and Yahoo's load things are going on the site. It worked very well. Performance on the site was fine. The response times, the servers were inside the Ministry of Sports. The link was not so big, but also the traffic was not so huge, so it was no problem. Load times at the beginning were less than 5 seconds after we installed the collective lazy sizes, and then the guys started adding more and more content, and we had like 10 seconds of load times at the end. But anyway, we run after we put this site in production. We had a contract for maintaining it, and we're fixing bugs all over the place. We were updating add-ons, because as we use the same add-ons in many places, all the fixes we do in one place, we install in these things. And we were enhancing the site continuously. It worked. We ran into a problem with one of the updates of Plone. I think it was Plone 439, because it had an ugly bug with I think the Plone subrequest package that was eating the whole memory, and it was really a nightmare because we don't have any chance to upgrade the memory of the servers, and the site was just very unstable on those days. But happily, I think it was Jensen's or who fixed this, and we installed the fix quickly, and everything went fine after that. On the day that the Olympics were about to begin, we received, well, in the days before the Olympics, we start receiving many attacks from the anonymous group, but especially in the day of the inauguration, and that was quite difficult to deal with, because we were not supposed to take care of these things. We were taking care of the application, but not of the security. But at some point we had to intervene, and I had no previous experience on that. So the same day that we were launching the inauguration of the site, I had to learn many things on how to deal with denial of services. We were very successful, mainly, but we had some problems, obviously. We changed some things on the Linux configuration. We use IP tables. We installed fail to ban, and we had some special configurations to deal with some specific attacks. We had to monitor all the time what was going on, what kind of attacks the guys were doing. That was really boring, because I had to dig on the logs every morning to see what the guys were doing the previous day, and try to. But we were successful. The site was up most of the time. When it was down, it was not our fault. So. Some numbers on this, there were 15 people working on the content side during the Olympics. They were feeding the sites in 3 languages. During the Olympics, there were 150 posts, 8,000 in total, bunch of content created. The day that we had most traffic was the Monday after the inauguration. It was not too big because this was it was not the official site. It was the site of the government, and it was visited mainly by journalists trying to look for pictures on information on what was going on. And so I think it worked very, very well. What we learned here is, as I say, we have to use boring technologies most of the time. We want to keep things simple because we don't want to deal with problems that we don't understand what is going on. You have to install monitoring. It's very important to see what is going on, even for instance for detecting the denial of service attacks is very, very important. We discovered, for instance, we already know, no? Quality assurance is a process. For instance, we fix all the validation errors, but after some time the editors of the page have changed something and they forgot to add some information that is important, and then again the front page was not validating it. So you have to explain them again. You have to tell them not to use an image bigger than they need, things like that. No? And we were very, very successful on fixing and improving one thing at a time. And also, the other thing that we learned here is that you cannot trust anybody on these kind of things. It's your responsibility. In the part, for instance, on security, you have to deal with things from the beginning, because if you're not doing that, you're going to pay for that later. That is. So that's it. I don't know if you have any question on this. Mm-hmm.
Just one. I mean, the DDoS. Was it possible for you to use Cloudflare, or was that?
No, because this was that was one of the problems. In fact, those servers were not supposed to be there. They were supposed to be somewhere in the cloud, but it has to be in Brazilian soil. But we cannot use Cloudflare, and that was not our responsibility. But for the issues that were derived because of the political instability in Brazil, we have to take care of that, and that was not our job to do. So that's why we have to run in servers that were not prepared we're not prepared for production in this kind of stuff. But no, we cannot use Cloudflare. So thank you guys. That's it.